Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So big shout out to one of my clients, Yolinda, for this podcast inspiration when she was sharing with me something in a coaching call about the lesson that she learned. And she goes, keep showing up. I was like, oh man, I got to speak into that because that's brilliance right there, gold. So keep showing up. So this conversation came up yesterday with the conversation I had with another woman, and you know, like it's a common thing that comes up, which is I've been putting work into my marriage and it's not where I want it yet. I've been, putting work in my business and I don't have X amount of revenue or so many clients or, wherever I want to be within my business. I have been putting the work for my body and I'm not dropping the weight, or my body's not looking the way I really want it to look. Thinking that, oh my God, I've been doing all this stuff and like, where are the motherfucking results? Right? Is this real for you, sister? Like, I've certainly been there before. When I started this whole journey into online and feeling like literally almost 5 years ago, of like, I have this message. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's something for me to speak about. There's something that I have to say. There's something that I have to share. And just starting to stumble through the process. Blogging, written, video blogs, failed products, first podcast, second podcast, coaching, and then here we are here today, almost 5 years later. And there has been many times, and continues, by the way, to be times where it's like, oh, Jesus. Like, so I'm going to give you an example. Happened today in my boxing session, just to give you some context for this, sister. So I've been training with my trainer, Rob, now. Let's see, October, November, December, January. I guess it's been about 4 months. I worked with a trainer when I used to live in Alberta for like maybe a dozen sessions. It was, 2 months-ish. But really the work has been working with Rob. And my intention, the reason why I'm boxing is I'm training to fight for the first time, fight or spar in 2017. For lots of different reasons. But one is I know on the other end of that is going to be power. And it's something that scares me less and less and less as I train more. But this morning we had a session which just felt off. I was like, dude, my hands hurt. It's like, take off the gloves. Like, what are your wraps like? And I'm like, no, they're good. They're tight. I'm like, it feels like I'm jamming my thumb. He's like, maybe it's the gloves. Try these other gloves, because I have my own gloves, of course. And try these, kind of like just the gloves that are at the gym. I'm like, yeah, they're a little better. It still kind of feels that way. I didn't feel like my brain was able to catch up with what my body was trying to do. It was an off day, right? Didn't feel as strong in training. And yet, so what would have been easy for me to do is just be like, oh, fuck, man. See, so much of boxing is mindset. It's such a mindset game, boxing. But it would be easy for me just to kind of like check out, go like, I'm having an off day. Or in other words, just take that moment and just make it into something bigger than it actually is. And so I had a decision at that time. So decision could be this. And it even started from the warm-up. Skip, and I keep like snagging my foot. I'm like, this doesn't usually happen. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, fuck. Started to kind of feel myself get angry, right, and pissed off. The more I go to that space, though, the less that I'm able to find clarity to get to what I want to, really continue to learn, right? If you're in a state of anger, which is definitely not a bad place to be in, it has a time and a place for sure. But my experience has been in my life is that when I'm in that place, it's hard for me to make decisions. It's hard for me to learn, actually. It's hard for me. Let me rephrase that. It's hard to make a decision when I'm deep in the emotion of it. Right? It's hard to make a decision when you're deep into emotion. Deep into it. Then you add stories and you make it really thick, and it's this roaring fire of like just stuff, thoughts, stories, emotions. And so it's for me virtually impossible for me to really learn and absorb and be open when I'm angry. It just doesn't happen, right? So my choice today was to continue to keep showing up. Rob's trying to show me footwork. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm not really getting this. It was in the warm-up. I'm like, oh, forget it. I'll just whatever. You know, you've probably seen, if you don't know anything about boxing, even if you've seen like in the movies, right, or something, so you'll see a trainer that's holding up like mitts, right? It's got one on each hand, and I'm punching him. He's then, having me do a series of different punches or combinations and ducks and rolls, like all this kind of stuff. And I'm hitting those, and it's not having that same like pop, it's like sound when my fist hits the training mitt. Like it just felt off, where I'm landing felt off, like everything was just like, ah. And again, it can be that you have those moments or you have those days, and that's what is, right? But I made a decision in that moment, and the decision that I made is to keep showing up for that training session. And then I kept showing up. So for the next round, and the next round, even though my brain was not moving at the same speed it normally does, even though I physically was feeling like something was just kind of off in my body today, which like didn't go into, I felt good, felt strong, but something, right? Something was there. So the decision I had, which was like, let me just kind of check out, because like, let's just scratch it off as like a shitty day, shitty training session. Or I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to continue to keep showing up. Even though then we're sparring with headgear and mouth guard and, going through like in a fight, which is difficult. For me, it's a difficult experience. It's one thing to go from let's go through drills with the training mitts, with the heavy bag. Rob puts on like almost think of like a big championship weight belt, but it's like it's not metal, right? Like it's for taking hits, like it's padding. Doing body shots, like footwork, like all this stuff, like it's him showing me. He's my trainer, he's my coach, right? So he's coaching me, do this, don't do that, try this, don't forget, like, don't drop your hand. Like, he's giving me cues as I'm going throughout. Now when I'm thrust into the ring and it's like we're just like sparring and fighting, it's a totally different experience. And so same thing, I just felt like off, like things weren't coming together, and I had a choice to keep showing up. Just like you, sister, have a choice to keep showing up in your marriage, even if you can't see the forest for the trees, even if you're not seeing results yet. Because see, what happened for me, and same thing, keep showing up for your business, keep showing up for your body, keep showing up for your children, keep showing up for you. Because as I kept showing up in that training session, and Rob would be like, dude, your jab today, like, awesome, from beginning to end. Remember when you spar with that girl, and there it is now, like 3 weeks after that, now you're sparring with me, and he's like, dude, it's like, you're so much better. And he's not just saying stuff to stroke my ego at all. Straight up tells me the truth. Continue to show up, right? Keep showing up. This is where most people bail out. It's too hard. I'm not seeing results. This shit isn't working. But what you really need to do is to keep showing up. So here's your more tip for today, sister. Where do you need to keep showing up in your life? Where have you checked out? Thinking that it should be there by now. That you should, like, I've invested all this work and this time and this energy. Why shouldn't it just be there? Like, come on. The alarm goes off, like ding, like you've somehow, you're baking a cake, like there's so much time that it takes to get something, and then that's it. You should have the result that you want. When really what needs to happen is you need to keep showing up. So just journal about this for 5 or 10 minutes. Where is that where you've checked out? And what do you need to do to keep showing up to get the results that you want? One of the first big words I ever taught my oldest boy, who's now 6, but he's about 2, I taught him the word persistence. Persistence. It's an important word for me. That means you keep going no matter what, based on what you want, based on why it matters, based on your commitment to making it happen, and based on because you've said, I will continue to show up and do what is required for me to get the result that I want. Persistence. Persistence, sister. You got this. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to head over to my website, drkarenosborne.com. And make sure to subscribe to the newsletter. You're going to get this episode 3 times a week. Advance notice of the Women Wanting More, the first annual live event in Vancouver. Huge one-day event. my book that's coming out soon, webinars, new courses and trainings, coaching program. And so you have to be part of the Women Wanting More Sisterhood and Tribe to get heads up and to get advance notice. So that's over at drkarenosborne.com. You're going to see a pop-up that comes in. You'll also get an access to my More For guide to being able to start your day in power. Enter in your name and email, and I'll get you hooked up on that today. So I will talk to the next episode. A life of more is just one step away, sister, from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborne.com/newsletter.